Hey, what's up? Back at you with another video. Fresh off the video from yesterday where we had a look at King Setso and his stance on how tough the EFF should be. His position in his video was that he would not even sit with the people of Orania. He would never sit with the Freedom Fund Plus, and he would like people to watch as the EFF goes into that meeting, how hard we know them to be and how soft they may come out. I'm for these people talking, and so King Setso might be having an issue. Let's have a listen.
Meeting they had there. I need to call Shedrick. And he has some juicy information about what happened, transpired in that meeting. Because we are now interested to find out, is the EFF going to continue with the march or will they soften up there?
Because in his experience, as far as he knows, he says that whenever black people go into these sit down at the table arrangements and they try to have discourse with white people, that black people pretty much always come out screwed. And so his take on the matter is that we ought to completely abstain, stay away from speaking and having dialogue with the people that we disagree with. Racist as they may be, white as they may be, South African as they may be, we should not sit and meet with them. And I found that quite strange because honestly, our parliament, the GNU, is already a coming together, a sitting together. Parliamentary portfolio committees. I think there's also portfolio committees in wards within municipalities. And so this got me wondering, how does King Setso really in 2025 remain a man who lives across the dichotomy from white people? Does he not meet with them? Is he completely opposed to them? Does he not speak to them? Does he not speak their language? You will understand that Julius himself has spoken on many occasions that he has white friends, he has white associates. You all know about Adriano Mazzotti, a rich Italian South African guy who helped Julius out when he needed help the most, and Julius acknowledged him as his friend. Recently as well, Julius spoke about how he was at an auction, did he say? And while he was at that auction, he was sitting. He spent a couple of hours there, and he was sitting chatting the whole time with Afrikaner businessmen who really enjoyed his presence and they enjoyed an encounter with him. And he said, we were talking, so what genocide is there really in the South Africa where me, Julius, can sit at a private auction with white people?
Yesterday, I was in an auction in Rustenburg of Peter Detroit. In that auction, 95% of those people were white people. I sat with them from 11 o'clock until 6 in the evening, wanting to demonstrate to Elon Musk and Donald Trump that I'm with the people you are saying I want to kill. Why would I sit with these white people if I want to kill them? Why do you make me an international criminal for asking for dignity of black people? I've not committed any crime against anyone except to say, let's restore the dignity of black person.
So this leads to the conclusion that there are people who are more passionate, who are bigger zealots than the bishop himself. There are people who are more extreme than Julius himself. And many of these people are members. Many were in the comment section there who said that I sound like Katlego. No offense to y'all. I appreciate every comment. I'm not fighting over here. You can keep the comments coming. But I just want to show you who you are and where your mind is at. I'm trying to show you, really. Take a look right now. Do you not realize that Julius has gone to Orania? I think I really have seen images of him in Orania. Let me have a look. And by the way, we will be looking at a SABC discussion here. It's an interview. The video is titled Discussion, EFF Marches to Orania. And so I'm just responding to what transpired in the last video, and we will now be going forward with this. If you've landed on this channel and you've started watching it and you are now engaging me, welcome. You have, without knowing, joined a think tank. I am somebody who's quite actually fed up of slow thinking, slow processes, slow evolution, people who say that we must constantly picket and riot out on the streets to show our demonstration to the people that we are arguing with on the other side. It just looks so incredibly old, man. It looks so old. We have these social media mediums. We have these platforms like YouTube where we can speak to one another. There are those who have decided to act like it doesn't happen. There are those who still want to act like black people exist all by themselves, and those who meet with the others are doing something that is highly abnormal. No, we are here in 2025. The EFF, as much as King did not want for them to meet with Orania, they met. And Monday morning, they'll be sitting with the same Freedom Front Plus. So I don't know what this super pro-blackness is about. It's a super pro-blackness beyond levels that are actually necessary. It's going back to like some Game of Thrones days, man, where we have to just come out with spears, and we're shooting arrows and we're in trenches. Bruh, this ain't that. We're here. So let me confirm first that Julius has gone to Orania so that we can know and understand that this outrage, this anger over Orania is convenient. It is well-timed. It is now in response to Trump. This is a demonstration that was saved for a time like this. The EFF could have done this quite a long time ago, but they've decided to hop on this opportunity because you need to be relevant as a party. We've seen Floyd, Mbuyiseni, Dalimpofu leave the EFF, and that is not an admirable position to be in, to have your people leave you. Pretty much signals, if you are somebody who is buying stocks, it signals that there's about to be a decline. You're about to see red arrows and red lines going downwards. So we know that ourselves observing the EFF knows inside that, hey, we need to be who we are. We need to fill our position. We need to be that necessary evil, a necessary evil for the extreme on the other side. And they say we are that answer. We are the antithesis to white supremacy. As a white supremacist president is huffing and puffing and threatening to blow us away, we will call him to bring it. But first, let me quickly make sure that Julius has gone to Orania. So it's a News 24 article from the 28th of March, 2009. So y'all might have forgotten some things. Y'all might be suffering from some memory loss. So let's have a look here. Malema surprised by Orania is the title. Orania. There was no shootout between the ANC Youth League and the Orania movement on Saturday during a much-anticipated visit by ANC Youth League President Julius Malema to the White Afrikaner enclave in the Northern Cape. Orania movement President Karel Boshoff Jr. said in describing the mood of the talks with Malema and an ANC Youth League delegation, there was no shootout or search for control attitude during the discussion. Boshoff Jr. said they did encounter differences in aspirations and vision between the two groups, but it would not exclude further talks with the ANC Youth League. Boshoff and Malema agreed that the discussions were successful and that further discussions would be possible. Malema said the expectations of the visit were that they would not be allowed to enter the village. We thought well-armed Afrikaners would stop the blacks. He said ways must be found to reintegrate the Orania community back into South Africa. Referring to the agricultural projects at Orania, Malema said the community did not have to do their work in isolation. What they do here, they must do it outside. Malema said he likes the attitude of the Orania community in that they were prepared to talk. You see, Malema actually likes something. So when I said to King Said So, bro, you can't just say you don't even like the idea of them meeting. A whole bunch of people there jumped in and said that I'm sounding like Katlego. Why? Because I sound like I'm negotiable, because I sound like I am open to speaking to enemies. Why wouldn't I talk to enemies, bruh? Why wouldn't I? So let's continue reading. He said the NC government would always be willing to help those who try and help themselves. They cooperate instead of working against each other, said Malema, adding it was nice reality to be exposed to. After the discussions, Malema hung about 4 ANC election posters beneath Freedom Front Plus posters alongside the main road through Orania. This is to show that people can campaign everywhere, Malema told a huge media contingent that had followed him to Orania. Earlier, Boshoff Jr., in referring to Malema's plan to hang the posters, jokingly said, Malema should not expect much success for the party in the community. Malema, who arrived in Orania early on Saturday, patiently stood and talked with Orania representatives and the media at the local filling station while waiting for the rest of the ANC delegation to arrive from Kimberley. The ANC Youth League president told the chief executive of the Orania movement, Franz de Klerk, that they, the ANC delegation, wanted a tour of the town to understand the environment. While waiting at the filling station, many ANC Youth League members took photos with their cell phones of their comrades in front of the Orania logo and signage written, Welkom in die Afrikaner state. Welcome to the Afrikaners home. Afrikaner tuiste. Welcome in die Afrikaner tuiste. Welcome to the Afrikaners home. Woo! Another group, after visiting the store, examined the local currency at 10 ora, which is the equivalent of a 10 rand note. ANC chairperson in the Northern Cape, John Block, and Karel Boshoff Sr., a founder of Orania, also attended the discussion. So, those who are hard against the white people, whiteness, and all of it, I don't understand. And before we watch this video, let me make one more accusation towards the Pan-Africanists / African spiritualists. There's something that I, as a black man, have realized worryingly so. The African spiritualists, my charge to you is that we are behind, we are non-negotiable, we are frozen in time because of you and your philosophy, your ideology, your entire opposition to the white people. I make my case. Look, ladies and gentlemen, in the current time, who is saying that let's stay away, let's not talk? I've just proven to you that talking to the people of Orania and being civil to them is nothing new. And any outrage that starts now because the EFF is going there is suspicious, really. The African spiritualists / Pan-Africanists, if you were to ask right now, who is opposed to fruitful discussions between the black people and the racist white people? Who would like for us to protest on the streets and hand over memorandums until the end of days, getting burnt in the sun? Who is in opposition of sit-down talks and deliberations and us receiving a report on these discussions? It's the African spiritualists. I'd say, look, Joshua Maponga right now is somebody who is missing in all of these discussions. Isn't that suspicious? A man whose niche is African spiritualism. When the world is changing and dynamics are shifting, his constant input so that we know that he's got the answers sway. He's not here to put his hand on the table and show us his cards and say, this is my view. He's missing. He's just going to come out soon with a video against Christianity. It's a gig that he's been performing for the last 15 years, I believe. Right now, there's a whole group of people who have been encouraged to cry for their ancestors, who have been encouraged to have isilonde singapholi, never healing wounds, to mourn in perpetuity.
Like South Africans are unforgiving.
And those people have been brought to that mindset by the African spiritualists, the Mapongas. I venture to say King Setso is doing the same right now. I would tell you, Ntsiki Mazwai, if you were to ask her, what is your take on what is currently happening in the world? She would probably be mum, sticking to her vertical, sticking to her character, speaking to that only. Women, feminism, men, this, that. If you had to really drill it down and say, yo, we want to hear about Orania, what's your position on that? She'd say, no, we must never talk to those people. They, what, our ancestors. But I ask you the question, if you had to meet Nsiki Mazwai at a restaurant and you see her sitting with a white person, would you be surprised? Because she hangs out with them. She speaks with them. She works with them. There's no way that you can avoid them. They are everywhere. But when the cameras start rolling, people put on the performance that says, I am pro-black, I am anti-everything that is white. So, ladies and gentlemen, we need the African spiritualists to weigh in on this political issue properly, on this issue of resolving our problems, this issue of forgiveness, if it's possible.
Like South Africans are unforgiving.
This issue of mending walls, because Julius has been going to Orania. President Nelson Mandela went to Orania. Gayton McKenzie went to Orania. Jacob Zuma went to Orania. YouTubers are landing in South Africa, going to Orania. Wodemaya was in South Africa recently. There, a hit of a video. So, we jump into the video now.
Right, to talk more about the EFF's planned march against Orania's existence, we're now joined by EFF Northern Cape chairperson Shedrick. Shedrick, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Now, we understand you're forging ahead with your march to the Premier's office. Just talk us through the issues that you have with the continued existence of Orania.
No, thank you very much, and good evening to our viewers.
Hey, some quick shameless self-promotion over here. If you love and enjoy this channel and you also happen to love dope gadgets, you can support my new baby, my new startup, my new retail venture, Gadget Plug. In case you've only ever known me as a YouTuber, you'll be glad to know that I'm also a wedding and documentary film producer, pro video editor, and all-round entrepreneur with a love for high-end gadgets like cinema cameras, gaming consoles, powerful GPUs, computers, and mobile phones. And my electronics store Gadget Plug is your new go-to place for the latest and greatest in tech. We're talking real gadgets, real quality, real quick, at the best prices in all of South Africa. To know more about this, head on over to my website imneo.co.za and check out my e-commerce store today. As we officially kick off business, Gadget Plug has stock right now of iPhone 16 Pro Max in 256 and 512 gig at 25,000 and 28,000 respectively. Simply press the green button at the bottom of my website if you want to inquire, and one of my friendly customer service agents will attend to you. Thank you very much for your support. And now back to the video.
At home, as the Economic Freedom fighters, indeed, we agreed that despite the engagement we had with the Freedom Front Plus and the leadership of Orania, we are marching forward in our demand that we want to see government of South Africa under the leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa, informed or advised by the Northern Cape, sitting and engaging on all activities that needs to happen in South Africa. Because our view and belief is that should we not engage each other on the issues that emanate as a result of Orania, South Africa will not be a country we deemed it to be. And we wish that South Africans will agree that what we are doing is not for our interest, but is for the interest of the people of South Africa, especially the generation after us.
Perhaps let's backtrack a bit here, Shedrick, and just tell us what exactly happened today. You met with FF Plus as well as the leadership of the Orania movement. What were the issues that you wanted to discuss, and what was the reception?
We must appreciate that our meeting is not what South Africans expected, especially those who view the EFF as an organization that is unruly. And we can confirm that even the leadership of Freedom Front Plus and Orania appreciated the stance that we have taken, believing that we are an organization that is true to ourselves. We don't mix our words when we want to raise issues. And in that meeting, even though that we have not agreed on anything, but we have created or drafted a plan that from time to time we are going to meet, because of there is a possibility that at some point we will agree.
But take us, pardon me for interjecting, just in the interest of time, but just take us through the issues that you put forward. If now there's some sort of an agreement to work together, what were the issues that you proposed you guys need to resolve?
The issues that we have proposed and will continue to propose is that we want to see Orania as not a town owned or led only by white people. We want to see black and white people residing in that area as a family, as friends, as society, because we believe that segregation is what has destroyed this country. And we believe, having raised what we have raised with the community of Orania and its leadership, it's something that we must stand against and defend the interest and the sovereignty of this country. So in the meeting, as much as we have raised all these issues that we have raised, it was also in line with the economy of this country, meaning that we can't have a society where the whites will continue to enjoy the wealth of this country and South Africans, especially black people, are not enjoying the wealth of this country. And we've pushed forward that the Freedom Front Plus or the whites in this country, they should have engaged from the onset, maybe the leadership of the EFF, because it is clear that at some point the EFF will lead this country, and we don't want that when we lead that country. At that point, it's only when the whites in South Africa, especially Freedom Front Plus, will want to engage the EFF, because that would not be an honest engagement. But if we do this now, at some point, South Africans will speak very good about the position of the EFF. You'll remember that the National Assembly resolved on land expropriation with compensation. That is against the policy position of the EFF of land expropriation without compensation. But we are saying we want to see if the Freedom Front Plus or those who own the means of production in South Africa are honest and true to themselves when they say that they are prepared to share the wealth of this country with us. The test is that we want Orania to be bought back by government of South Africa, in which when we buy it, it will be based on the resolution taken in the National Assembly of land expropriation with compensation, which is not our position, but we agree with what has transpired, and we want to test if the people of Orania, the whites in South Africa, will adhere to that.
So, the EFF wanted land expropriation without compensation, but there's been an agreement to some compensation, and the EFF now capitulates from their original position, and they say, well, let's work with what we have. Let's see if the expropriation with compensation is something that the people of Orania would accept. So we are testing the law. We are testing the act, as it has been accused to be a seize and throw people out bill. Let's approach Orania now before the EFF governs. That's his aspiration, that they will govern. So you can see that there's negotiations happening, and I will be reading some comments before this episode ends. So just hang on, so that we are now entering the discussion together. We are all betting. I see the comments there. They're funny. I'm not offended. Some of y'all are saying I'm becoming soft. I'm sounding like I've been bored, etc., etc. Well, comment. Let's save your comment and let's read it. Let's save it in the archives. And let's see the EFF, if they will be as extreme as you are. Will this be a demonstration or no? Some of you are actually far more passionate than the leaders of the EFF themselves. These leaders are living in those white suburbs with white neighbors. They are not entirely opposed to them. But you somehow, somewhere, I don't know who gave you that impression that there's this entire separation. You on the streets are trying to be a separatist as much as possible. And that's that Pan-Africanist, African spiritualist take that I don't agree with. I don't know where it takes us. I see us standing still forever with mindsets like those. So you're hard. The EFF has, of course, shown some softness, and they've accepted a softer expropriation bill. and they are now going and negotiating with it to see. Is this not the progress that you want? Do you want Orania to be surrounded by people wearing red berets, standing in a circle, all hands together, so that the white people there can be absolutely terrified? I mean, man, I won't lie to you. This kind of stuff used to excite me quite a lot. The Barking, what was the name of that riot where people went and looting? Yeah, there's that mass looting where people in Durban, burnt and raided warehouses, game macro, etc. At that time, I was very much so extremely excited by those things. In fact, let me go and find a video of that. Cue here.
People of Venetia said nobody looted Phoenix.
Nobody looted Phoenix. That's from the Minister of Police who went to Phoenix, okay? He's been there. Go check it. He's been there. There was no looting in Phoenix, okay? No looting. None. No looting. How many times must we say there was no looting? There was no looting, bruh.
You see that? Even during that time, I was very, very, very much taken and excited by anarchy. But I've grown, I've become a man, and I'm asking you guys who still remain, stonewalling. There's a type of behavior in a relationship. This I got to learn with counseling with my wife. There's something called stonewalling. This is where in a relationship, you relate with your partner with your back. Kamkokotlo. So you relate with your partner like this. You're not passionate bringing the face. You're not bringing your love. You're not diving into the pool of emotions. No, you are somebody who's standing by the wall there. All we see is your back. When there's time for conversations, you don't want to conversate. You want to stand away. That behavior is said to be one of the horsemen of divorce. It's a sign of a relationship that is totally going nowhere, that is going to end in a divorce. It's a very, very serious telling sign when somebody doesn't want to come to the table and talk. So many of y'all here want to be stonewallers, and it seems you wish the EFF could be more extreme. How about joining the BLM, Mqitama's party? You see, even with him, his extremism was not appealing to many. Black Land First could have been the one to champion any aggression towards Orania, but y'all didn't support Mqitama. Y'all are supporting a softer EFF that is negotiating with the enemy. So you're screwed, Mus. I am the one to be called a coconut while the EFF themselves sit at the table with Orania. Guys, stop, man. Let's think. Welcome to the think tank here.
And what was their response?
They are honest.
What was their response today to some of those?
There are possibilities. What they are saying is that there are possibilities that we can speak and agree on this issue. But the only problem we're having is that we have a government or leadership of this government that is not decisive. I think that is the only problem facing South Africans. Should we have a leadership that will be very firm, those people of Orania, the people of South Africa, especially white people, will appreciate and promote what this government seeks to achieve.
So, Shedrick, are you saying that the people of Orania are now willing to abandon their position of a right to self-determination, which is something that they've always pushed forward? They've said if there's expropriation with compensation, they're willing to integrate or have maybe black counterparts come and live in Orania.
Self-determination is not an issue here. The issue is that the EFF is raising a fundamental issue that we want black and white people living together. The fact that we went to a meeting and there's an agreement that there are possibilities that one day the people of South Africa will live together in any form, in any town. That's what we want to achieve. So in our view is that there's progress in this engagement.
There's progress in this engagement. So the meeting is showing some progress. There is hope for black people living in Orania. There's hope for reintegration. Had you gone and stood ekoneni, stonewalling, not wanting to talk, what solution would we have today on the 13th of April, 2025? Are you starting to withdraw from your position a little bit? Are you starting to become softer? Do you think you ought to become softer? Are you still harder? Because stay hard. The march to Orania is coming. You're going to see. It's not going to be full of flames and fireworks the way that you want it to be. Yo, I'm just here to be honest. I left the EFF. I was an EFF member. Eventually, I didn't vote for the EFF. I was a member of a ward. I attended meetings, etc. At some point, I was voted for and elected to go be part of a portfolio committee within where I'm living. And then there were scuffles within our ward itself. There were skirmishes and cock blockings that started happening. There was a whole WhatsApp group to try and address issues that we couldn't solve ourselves. So the ward had to just collapse. Since then, I decided to leave the ward, not renew my membership. On top of all of that, it was this aggression that I'm seeing is aggression, not aggression. I realized a long time ago that there's no way that Julius is a person who lives free of interaction with white people. So my mind snapped a long time ago to say, nah, man, 10 years is going by and I've committed myself to be this person who is waiting for a black revolution, a black renaissance, black people getting together, solving their problems without strife, without tension, without issues. I longed for that. I did. But when I continued realizing that, oh, no, man, no matter how Pan-African we still want to say we are, there's the xenophobics in our midst. They are black. They don't like other black people. And these Pan-Africanists are not actually doing the work to promote Pan-Africanism onto the xenophobics, but they want to make people of Orania who have chosen in this one life that they're not going to live with black people. They've chosen to pursue to make black people live with those people. What kind of hostile neighborhood would that be? Which black people actually want to live in Orania, bruh? I'm not pro Orania. I would never live there. I'm not interested in living there. Whatever happens, whatever negotiations are arrived at will happen when they happen. It's like tennis. I am neutral. I'm ambivalent. If you ask me about cricket, I neither hate it nor love it. I just love what I love and spend my time enjoying that. So let's just finish this video and we'll read some comments.
We shouldn't went to that meeting and think that we'll agree immediately. It's a first step that we have taken as the EFF, and it's yielding positive results because of we don't want to see bloodshed in this country as a result of racial problems.
Do y'all want to see bloodshed? Those of you who took the side of hard EFF versus soft EFF, those who took the side of no negotiations versus an EFF that negotiates, what did you want to see? Bloodshed? The EFF doesn't want that. Do you? Are you more bloodthirsty than the people who sing these songs on stage and agitate you? Are you more agitated than them?
We want to see white and black people living together. It has always been our position. So, yes, what the people of Freedom Front have said, the Orania has said, is that there are that possibilities.
So now you're heading to the Premier's office and you're going to put this forward to say perhaps you need to buy that specific land in Orania.
It's our land, we want it.
All right. Shedrick, thank you very much for joining us this evening. That was EFF Northern Cape Secretary Shedrick talking to us there about their planned march to the Northern Cape Premier Zamani Soul's office against the existence of Orania.
There it is. I've spoken enough. Now let's quickly have a look at the comments. Just want y'all to know that I appreciate them. I don't have a problem. This is how we get to debate. And I get to, in this process, actually slam some of y'all because I am a great debater. I am of sound mind. I'm not a zealot. I'm not an extremist. I am negotiable. I am not a sellout. So you put your cards on the table and I will show you something. So now we're in a debate together. You cannot back down. You call me names, it's fine. I'll call you some names, extremists. Fosmkari, Neo starting to be soft. Somebody says, a whites only town in Orania is an apartheid town, just like a blacks only town is an apartheid town. Apartheid is a form of segregation based on the discrimination of race, but can also be based on religion, sex, nationality. The problem with Orania is that there is a lot of legislation to deal with this issue because having people grouped together is not a crime. But in an independent South Africa, if Orania does not allow non-whites to have access to public facilities, schools, etc., the segregation part, then there might be some issues. Then Namtech 425 says, LOL, 3,000 people upset the EFF about staying in a place that no one wants. Just let them do their thing there and leave them alone. Don't people have anything else to do? Have a lekker Sunday, Neo. Shout out to you, Namtech. Then DJ Makolite says, Neo, there's nothing good about Orania. Did you hear Julius earlier saying that in Orania they work together instead of working against each other, and that's something that he admires? Go argue with Julius. And then DJ Makolite as well says, Neo, you sound like Katleho. And then Land of Fanaka Gavi said, well, the Oranians brought this unto themselves by lying about reality of this country. Someone from that area voted for the EFF. And then Harmon K's 8880 said, this is really bullshit now. You're paid to talk shit. If I was you, I would have let this video of King say, let it, because now you're becoming full of shit, bro. The guy is explaining how that racist territory come to existence when you're just burying that under the ground, just like someone who's paid. What are you doing, man? And then TMLSA says, Katlego, is that you? Aye, they've got him, people. And then Wow Entertainment said, Neo, you are starting to sound like you are selling out now. Fake neutrality is just as dangerous as extremism. And then Son of Ntwane says, Neo, I think there's a huge difference between Orania and a bunch of guys who believe in African spiritualism. Orania is trying to be a state with loosely defined borders, and it can expand through the purchase of title deeds. In fact, an example of the land you are talking about exists already. It is customary land, but that land does not expand, and we are actively talking about getting rid of it. And then from B Lion RSA, I love your comment, brother, but at some point, you have to stretch your logic a bit. We as Africans, we have a lot of ground to cover, and Orania is one of that. It's not about hate on Orania, but blacks, we playing catch up with other races. On this, I'm with King Said So. You're welcome to be. And then Sisanda Matumela 3272 said, this particular podcast episode is disappointing and sounds like you are tactically whitewashing the racism of Orania. Yo, I'm not pro Orania. Whatever happens, let it happen. But you should be engaged in some proper discussions. You should be willing to sit with the white people if you want some change, because that's the only way. Zuna Bukosi said, I don't buy your claim of neutrality. By failing to take a position, you're effectively choosing one side in this matter. And that actually got a number of likes. And Lungisi Masinda 7117 said, now you're starting to sound like Katlego. Now let's read the last one. You are very naive, dude. This one comes from Max Nater. You are very naive, dude. I can't believe this. Do you even have a small understanding how natives all across the world were displaced? The natives were displaced, how they were displaced. If you are concerned about those natives, let me see your organization. Let me see your social media posts. Let me see meetings that you are attending. We done joined the organization. We done attended the meetings. We done tried to make a difference. As you see me here on YouTube, I'm a failed member of the EFF who tried to enter and make it in politics. I didn't clash with people. I didn't get in. I wasn't opposed by people to get in. In fact, there was some movements for us to get in the seats and make the differences. I could have been serving in this ward. But a lot of us have tried this, but we are disappointed. I'm not going to be like Ike Kumalo, who says that he's tried, he's tired of black people. He has tried to help. None of them are helpable. I still continue to try and help this way. But while you have not attended or joined the party or done something, and you are not on YouTube pushing and awakening and spreading a mindset that is positive, that is cohesive, and productive, if all you're doing is tweeting and commenting Pan-Africanism and there's nothing that you actually do, shame on you, really, shame on you. But I love you and I will see you in the next one. like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let's keep on talking.